welcome to the 15th GPCA Annual Forum. My name is Asila Al-Bassam. I'm a research specialist at GPCA, and I'm the chair of the new upcoming GPCA initiative, the GPCA Youth Council. With me today is a very distinguished guest, Mr. Sergey Komyshan, the Executive Director for Marketing and Sales at Sibur. Mr. Sergey, welcome, a warm welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I hope you've had a positive experience so far here being at the 15th Annual GPCA Forum.
Yes, indeed. It's been 2 years since we came here last time, and I have to admit the desire to meet face-to-face and discuss quite a lot of pending issues for the industry is a great blessing, and we are very thankful to the organizers that they strive to make it as useful event for everyone as possible, because the industry needs to discuss a lot of things.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Sergey. If you'll allow me to jump into the questions, what brings you to Dubai this year, and what are some of the key takeaways from some of the discussions you heard today that you'll take home with you?
One of the most important takeaways, I think, for everyone here is that the global demand, the global patterns of demand are almost back to normal. Of course, the COVID situation will continue to persist and will impact our daily lives, to some extent the industry itself, but the trends that we had seen before the COVID period actually are back, and this is the sustainability, the overall ESG set of issues which are now adopted by more and more companies, and Sibur is one of them. This is something that is back to the top agenda. It's quite clear here. Decarbonization is one of the areas where the industry can contribute and should contribute. And I'm really glad that GPCA has become the place where our competitors in a way, but on the other hand, partners in the industry do share what they are doing themselves and what the industry has to do at the global scale.
Absolutely. It's more of a learning platform, I believe, for everybody to exchange knowledge.
It has become so.
Yes.
And we're very glad to be here.
Thank you so much for this feedback, Mr. Sergey. Sibur is the largest integrated petrochemical company in Russia and a very important global player in the petrochemical industry. Can you tell us more about your current presence and investments here in the region, specifically in the GCC?
Okay, sure. Let me start with the Sibur positioning nowadays, and you might have heard we have closed a merger transaction with the Taif group of companies. Nizhnekamsk-Neftekhim, Kazanioksynthez, two of the key players in the Russian petchem market, have now joined the Sibur family, and after the merger, Sibur is positioning itself as number one in a number of segments, be it PP, polyethylene, MEG, BOPP, and others. And the company has become not only visible locally but also globally. The investment project portfolio that we have, and now it's a combined project of the two historical companies, will allow us by 2025 to reach positions number 5 in synthetic rubbers as well as polyolefins globally. So Sibur has been developing, and the model that the company has chosen proves to be right. Even through the low cycles of COVID, we keep showing profitability well above 30% in terms of EBITDA margin, and this is something that we believe we will continue to show thanks to further diversification that we have achieved with the merger. You're asking about the Gulf activities, the activities in the Gulf. I have to admit we've been trying on several occasions to join a couple of quite big and integrated complex projects here in the Gulf. We were reviewing together with our partners from Saudi Aramco Total an opportunity to invest into C4 chain at one of the projects in the area. We did a feasibility study. Unfortunately, did not lead to any practical steps, but we are ready. We are ready to review other possibilities. Our technology portfolio after the merger has expanded quite significantly in elastomers, for example, and this is what we'll keep pursuing.
That's great to hear. I believe that, it's a step, so hopefully in the right direction for further collaborations here in the region. If you'd allow me to take you through the next question. The coronavirus pandemic impacted the petrochemical industry significantly, but it also provided an opportunity for the industry to demonstrate its contribution to the society and the vital role that it plays. How was Sibur affected by the pandemic? What were some of the challenges you faced in Russia, but also on your global operations? How did you overcome these?
That's a great question, and I hope we can share with what we've done at Sibur. Obviously, the situation in early 2020 was quite difficult. The fact that nobody knew what one would do or should do at the point of time, whereas markets were shutting down, there was a clear hit on the GDP because of the lockdowns across the globe. We saw quite a big drop in GDP in general, which amounted 3.5% give or take, if I'm not mistaken. And some of our customer segments have been quite significantly hit. We had to move material from one part of the world to another, while these parts of the world were either closing or opening up again for business. And our main task was, of course, to not only to support the demand in general, but to support the demand in the areas which were quite vital to produce personal protective equipment. We boosted the production of our special solutions for non-woven applications, for example, which masks are made of, and protective equipment for doctors by 3 times. And the deliveries went through not only in Russia, but also in other countries. We delivered to China quite a few tons of it. We managed not to stop any of our facilities because of the COVID, introducing obviously new regulations for our personnel as well as the local subcontractors, which everyone had to follow, and that allowed us not to have any major outbreak at our plants, neither at the plants nor at our construction sites, which we never stopped or stalled either. All our projects that we had started before the COVID are on track, are on time, especially the flagship project of ours, which is Amur Gas Chemical Complex, which will be almost 30% complete by the end of this year. And the internal regulations that were developed, we shared with the Russian government, for example, that then proliferated it around all the industrial construction sites of Russia, hence saving people's lives and making sure that the economy still can go on.
I mean, you've highlighted very important points. The petrochemical industry was actually an enabler to help people in the coronavirus pandemic. It provided all the relative supplies that were required, and I believe it's a good image for the industry in that sense. So thank you for shedding light on that. So I'm going to skip the 4th question because you've done a great job at addressing the investments in the GCC. So we'll jump into the last and final question, Mr. Sergey. 2022, in my opinion, is forecast to see some improvements in the petrochemical industry's performance. In your view, what would be the state of petrochemicals industry globally, and what key trends and challenges are you at Sibur going to be watching when it comes to that?
Good question. Well, as always, future can bring anything to us, but what we can see already out of the end of 2021, that is clear, much healthier demand on the one hand, and no one in the industry expects any significant shutdowns and lockdowns in the year to come, and that is a piece of good news, obviously. So the industry has to perform accordingly, and it will perform. We see that the projects investment projects that were delayed, like the one of Shell in Pennsylvania, actually being mechanically completed as we speak, and already in the period of startup. So what we're going to see on the supply side is quite a wave of new capacities coming. So which is good for the customers, which is good for the final consumption, but in terms of market situation and pricing, we may see some pressure. It's something that the industry should always be prepared. Therefore, I wouldn't expect any significant issues in that front. But as always, we must be prepared. The trend that which I mentioned early in the interview that of sustainability is going to grow in its importance, and one can see it in the in the results of the exercises that the companies do renewing their ESG strategies. It's back on track. New targets are set. New technologies are being made available. And that's why we value the GPCA Forum as well, because we've known quite a few interesting opportunities do exist now, and not only in the pilot phase, but also in the commercial phase. I'm talking about different ways of decarbonizing our existing petchem facilities. So I guess we're going to see more of that in the year to come, and we will welcome it. We will definitely participate and are ready to share resources on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sergey. And I believe, to basically summarize everything that you've said, I think the one word that is fit to describe the chemical industry is resilient when it comes to everything that's happened.
Well, resilient, and we have to be resilient, and we have to make the rest of the economy resilient, because the solutions that the industry can bring are the ones that are needed in many parts of our economies.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Sergey.
you
Very
for having
valuable
me.
insights. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and to attend the forum and to give us all the feedback, positive feedback that we've heard, only encourage us to do more and more and help the share of exchange of knowledge amongst all of our members and the wider chemical industry. So I thank you so much for that. And so I'd like to end this session here. Thank you everybody for watching, and until next time.